Okay, I wanted to start with that little exercise just to show you in a couple of minutes' time. Can you see in the space of a few minutes, you can have a lot of experience just inside your own body, inside your own world. And we haven't even begun to cover the list of things you could be experiencing. But you could probably even sense temperature and heart rate and sometimes the digestive workings of your body. And most of that is fine. It just takes place below awareness and we don't need to pay attention to it. But in trauma treatment, it may be important to pay attention to disturbance to that regular flow of experience, especially with memory and trauma, and old feelings can hijack the body and thoughts and all of that stuff, which is what we're here to focus on today. So, just a few nods. Would you agree there's a lot of experience in that, just a few minutes of sitting and just noticing? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just go quickly. These first couple, that's just the teaching team for sensory motor who I represent today. And you can think about sensory motor in simple terms like we sense and we move in the world. So it's a way of kind of understanding what goes wrong, how we're supposed to function, and what goes wrong when we get into difficulty, which is most of our clients, and especially with trauma. This list of people here you see before you are just a lot of people who contribute to the literature in the field of trauma. And this slide here is just a little bit of background about sensory motor approach. It's a body-oriented psychotherapy, and you can just pick out a few things there. You don't need to read the whole thing, but just to see some of the originators, the influence. Rolfing method, which is a deep tissue body work approach. So we're drawing on lots of experience over the years of body workers and body psychotherapy. But it's not just body, it blends all of these things together, cognitive and emotional approaches, but with physical interventions. And one of the main differences, I suppose, between this model and some earlier models of psychotherapy is the body is the entry point. So we get very interested in the story of the body rather than the cognitions or the emotions. We don't ignore them, but we just think the story the body has to tell is generally a little more accurate and reliable than the thoughts we put on top of our experience.
It's a great pleasure to be here back in Brighton. I don't know, some of you may have heard me present before, but to be invited is a lovely thing to be here. This particular theme is very dear to my heart. It follows a chapter in my book called The Well-Resourced Therapist, and I believe it's the most important chapter in the book, and I've had the privilege of presenting this on different continents and to hundreds and hundreds of people, which is really quite a powerful experience. I have come to believe that in working with trauma, the most important question is, what is our own relationship to trauma? I don't mean the past, whatever may have happened in the past. What I mean in asking that question is, what is your relationship to trauma now? What happens in your body? Do you start to get a little bit activated? Does it feel a little bit exciting that there's some drama, there's something going on? Do you feel a compulsion, a fascination towards trauma? What's the pull? Or do you shut down in some way and just say, oh, well, it's part of life, or it's part of everyday experience, or you minimize it in some way, or you stop yourself feeling? Just take a moment to reflect on those questions, your here and now, current day relationship to trauma, and turn to a partner and take a moment or two just to talk about that. Your response to my questions.
One of the most awful things for anyone working in the NHS at the moment is these wretched audits of outcome in which people that want to be free to hate you have to say it's going well because otherwise the funding will go away. So we have something ludicrously contraindicated in which someone precipitously has to express a positive. So just to bring that right in at the beginning. How many people here are working with anyone or know anyone with the dissociative disorder, especially DID? Oh, that's a wonderful amount. Because I'm going to focus on the extreme end of trauma and dissociation, and hopefully that might interest people that haven't taken on such a patient to do so, as well as hopefully give a bit of extra validation and support to those that have. And if anyone is interested in taking on more, we're always looking for therapists across the country that will take something on at the Clinic for Dissociative Studies. We're an independent NHS provider trying to do battle with commissioners on this unbearable subject. So I'm starting with a few lines from a poem from a DID survivor called Mary Bach-Loriot in America, who wrote a poem beginning, "I'm an endless monologue done in choral voices, forgetting to speak up or harmonize, forgetting to be heard or take turns. What would happen if you were to listen? Listen to me, endless monologue, fractured speaker." Because one of the things that Miriam was saying so clearly to us, can we bear to listen? How much can we bear to listen? What of our own trauma is in the way, not acknowledged or unacknowledged? What of our supervision structure is in the way? That if you have a defensive supervisor that can't bear trauma and doesn't want to hear it, and somewhere you're accused of encouraging a delusion. Collusion with a delusion was the lovely term I heard in one context. Or supposing your unit can't bear it. Why do you always have these horrendous cases? And can you make them go away? It must be something in you. And of course the country doesn't want to hear it.